diddly-dee-dee-dee. Two takers, diddly-dee-dee-dee. Two takers, diddly-dee-dee-dee. And I'm the only fan. Yeah! That's a cabaret reference. F*** you if you don't get it. So that's how SummerSlam ended, not with one of the best cage matches of all time pitting Owen Hart versus brother Bret for the WWE title. Nope, with Community Theatre, the local goth chapter putting on their ill-advised adaptation of The Parent Trap. Yeah, it's a really weird show this. I'm Plumpy from WhatCulture.com and here are 10 fascinating facts about SummerSlam 94. Number 10, the venue had only opened 11 days earlier. To this day, WWE events in the Chicago area take place in the suburb of Rosemont, home of the historic Rosemont Horizon, now called the Allstate Arena. This is in spite of the fact that in 1994, the Bulls and the Blackhawks got themselves a brand new arena, the United Center. WWE has only ever held one event inside the United Center, and that's SummerSlam 94. Weirder, the building only officially opened on August 18th, 1994, a mere 11 days before the pay-per-view. SummerSlam was the first major event of any sort to be held inside the United Center. They haven't been back, sticking with Rosemont/Allstate, probably due to the cheaper rental cost and not having any schedule conflicts with the Bulls or the Blackhawks. Or maybe the United Center is haunted or something, I don't know. Number 9, it was the Macho Man's last WWE pay-per-view appearance. So imagine you're Vince McMahon. First of all, sorry about the loss of your sanity. Second, it's SummerSlam 94 and you've got Macho Man Randy Savage on your staff. Everyone loves him. What do? Have him wrestle? That's what Savage wanted. But no, you'd be f***ing wrong. Savage was put to use as a master of ceremonies, introducing Vince McMahon and Jerry Lawler at the start of the broadcast. He also made one brief appearance later in the show to offer a hot take on the Shawn Michaels Diesel dissension, and that was it. That was all she wrote. Savage wrestled his last match for the company in Rostock, Germany on September 13th, taped his final appearances in mid-October, and by the first weekend of November, Randy had signed with WCW. Number 8, Bigelow and I.R.S. were supposed to win the tag team titles. The opening match at SummerSlam pitted the Head Shrinkers against $1 Million Corporation members Bam Bam Bigelow and Owen R. Shyster. The match was non-title, which makes sense considering that neither team had the belts. That fact wasn't true 24 hours earlier. The night before SummerSlam, Shawn Michaels and Diesel won the tag team titles from Fatu and Samu in Indianapolis and appeared on Live with Regis and Kathy Lee the following morning with the belts. That seems pretty silly, and a strategy that WWE recently came back to with AJ Styles and Kevin Owens. The original plan was for Bigelow and I.R.S. to wind up with the belts, giving the corporation a little bit of momentum to go along with Tatanka's heel turn later in the card. Shawn Michaels claims the Indianapolis switch was Vince's last-minute idea, a way of keeping Shawn and Diesel near the top of the card once Diesel dropped the IC title belt to Razor Ramon. Some in the locker room, however, simply viewed it as a click power play. Number 7, Bull Nakano made history. Long before the trademark Divas Revolution trademark branding trademark, Alundra Blaze and Bull Nakano were occasionally allowed to do top-notch women's wrestling on WWE broadcast. SummerSlam 94 featured a meager 8 minutes of lady craps, but Blaze and Nakano made full use of those 8 minutes, enthralling Chicago en route to Blaze's victory. Nakano made history of her own that night. After nearly a decade of Vince McMahon making use of the pay-per-view market, Nakano became the first Japanese-born wrestler to challenge for a belt on any WWE pay-per-view. Yokozuna and Mr. Fuji don't count, as both were born in California and Hawaii respectively, and the next time a Japanese-born wrestler would achieve the same distinction would come in late 1997 when Taka Michinoku took part in the light heavyweight tournament finals at December's D-Generation X in your house. Number 6, Jarrett was supposed to face Doink. One of the curiosities of SummerSlam 94 came in the form of a quickie 6-minute match before the double main event. Mabel, the towering monster amongst beach balls that seemed to have a bright future due to his immensity, put over Jeff Jarrett fairly cleanly after missing a sit-down splash. There was little to no reason for Jarrett and Mabel to be facing off at the pay-per-view, especially as Jarrett's issue since April had been with Doink the Clown. Jarrett had humiliated Doink's small friend Dink during a King's Court segment and even kidnapped him as a distraction that I just don't want to talk about. Mabel, who would go on to become Viscera, admitted in the 2009 shoot interview that Doink was the original opponent for Jeff Jarrett at SummerSlam but would be swapped out for himself not too long before the event, though he didn't really elaborate as to why. Vince moves in mysterious ways. Number 5, Bret and Owen were told it would be their last match. Hart versus Hart was long-term storytelling at its finest. It took Owen months to turn, and the organic, methodical build-up created the perfect foundation for a months-long feud replete with mat classics. Owen beat Bret at WrestleMania 10, Bret won the title that same night, then Owen's King of the Ring victory set the stage for a title match at SummerSlam. Bret claims that he and Owen were told prior to the event this would be the big blow-off to their long-running rivalry, which is curious because Owen and brother-in-law Jim Neidhart assaulted Hart and his other brothers after the match. The two faced off on numerous house shows afterwards, as well as the premiere episode of Action Zone in the early fall. Seeing as then Owen cost Bret the belt that Survivor Series, it was clear WWE just didn't know how to quit the Hart brothers feud. Number 4, Diana HART-SMITH was not supposed to play a physical critical role. The dramatic finish to the lengthy steel cage match saw Bret and Owen climbing down the cage wall while Hart family members sat in the first few rows watching on. Owen was left hanging upside down by his feet as Bret descended to the floor, retaining his belt. Davey Boy Smith, making his WWE return after almost 2 years, was applauding Bret's victory from the front row when Neidhart struck from behind, knocking Smith over the rail with a front flip. When Smith took the bump, he had one arm round wife Diana, Bret and Owen's sister, and she took a tumble with him. According to Bret, Diana wasn't scripted to take the bump with Davey, and the couple had actually taken it upon themselves to both do the fall. According to Bret, he and Owen were both angry at the added stunt. Number 3, The Undertaker wrestled during his absence. Oh, Undertaker, your career has been such nonsense. So The Undertaker apparently died at the Royal Rumble 1994. For 7 months he's nowhere to be found, but ultimately returns at the 1994 SummerSlam in order to confront an Undertaker who's been dicking around the company in his absence. Undertaker took the extended time off to let lingering back injuries heal, but his 7 months away were weirdly not without wrestling activity. He took part in a 6-day tour of shows, but not in mainland United States. In May 1994, The Undertaker joined many of the top stars in the company on a tour of Japan, Guam, and Hawaii. On the overseas trip, the Phenom wrestled the likes of Yokozuna, Bam Bam Bigelow, Adam Bomb, and even won an 18-man Royal Rumble match in Osaka. Number 2, training fake Taker got another wrestler a job. Primetime Brian Lee was temporarily poached from Smoky Mountain Wrestling to play the role of the impostor Macabre Barbara. He did look the part from about 16 miles away, but matching Mark Calloway's every nuance in the role was a near impossible task. In late spring 1994, a 20-year-old Connecticut enhancement talent was called up to WWE offices to bump around and play victim for Lee as he tried to co-opt Taker's moveset. Said wrestler was paid $150 a day for about a week to let Lee practice being dead on him. On the last day, Lee, in full Undertaker costume, tossed the wrestler around with Vince McMahon, Pat Patterson, and the real Undertaker watching on. That enhancement talent? WWE jobber Peter P.J. Walker Polaco, who would later be rehired and remade as the Portuguese Man of War Aldo Montoya, and down the line as just incredible. And number 1, the two Takers almost had a bizarre finish. The main event. After much quotation marks comedy in the form of Leslie Nielsen trying to solve the mystery of Undertaker's disappearance followed by a light show and a match between two Ents, it's pretty easy to see why the angle flopped. However, there have been rumours over the years that the original ending to the match was to have been even weirder. As the story has it, the ending was supposed to be some sort of lights and magic show wherein both Undertakers somehow physically merged. The lights would go out. When they came back on, there was only going to be one Undertaker remaining, as if Calloway had absorbed Lee's physical form. Right.